Hi everybody, all my followers, be welcome to another video. So, the car today, it's a 2004 Honda Accord CTDI with the 2.2 liter diesel. And this car, this car came from an auction. And it came with a few issues, which we're gonna try to tackle them, possibly in separate videos. But I will, unless they are related, the problems, but I will tell you here on this video the two issues the car has. One is according to the owner. I haven't drove the car. The speedometer is now working, and also the car is in limp mode. It doesn't rev above 3000 RPMs or something like that. Another thing that you told me, which I can actually confirm, is that obviously the engine light does not come on. I'm gonna turn ignition on, and as you can see, there is no engine light. So it looks like the engine light has been somehow disabled or disconnected to these guys. The problem with the engine, I don't know what's going to be the problem. I think I will try to tackle on this video possibly the speedometer, and then unless the speedometer and the engine they are related, I'm not sure. I guess they're going to be separate issues, so just bear in mind with me. We're going to scan the car and see what we have and go from there. And yeah, that's about it really. Okay, and this is my first menu on the top done. So let's gonna go system selection. Okay, so let's gonna go engine. Obviously I have no engine light, as you guys have seen, so let's gonna go engine, see what we have. Okay, so ECM, PCM, read fault codes, read intermittent DTCs. So there's no intermittent DTCs. Let's gonna do current DTCs. Okay, so output shaft, counter shaft, speed sensor circuit malfunction. So this would actually explain my speedometer not working. If this explains the safe mode on the car, or the limp mode, or not revving above 3000, I'm not really sure. Maybe, I don't know. But looks like we have a sensor malfunction here. So I think I'm gonna put this video for the speed sensor. That's how I'm gonna title the video. So we're gonna focus on the speed sensor first. Once we have the speed sensor working, then I'll test the car. If it drives okay, then I guess it's gonna be related, the two problems. So let's gonna for the speed sensor. Okay, so it looks like, let me go to actuation tests. Let me see. No, there isn't. Okay, let's gonna go back. What I want to see is how the engine light has been disabled. If someone opened if someone opened the cluster and disabled the light, or if that's been done. Okay, so it looks like it's going to be the gauge system here, perhaps. Let me see if it's that. Okay, no communication. So let me try to find. Damn it. Surely the cluster will be. Okay, just bear with me, guys. I'm going to try to see if I can communicate with the cluster and activate that light. And just before I go anywhere, as I was scrolling down, I came to my ABS, and look what I have here. See? So it might be that the speed is actually taken from the sensor of the ABS, or one of the sensors, and the engine ECU just tells me is the drive shaft speed sensor. So it might be that is actually the same sensor that gives both results. Let's gonna go to read data stream. Let's go manual select. Crap. Let's gonna go. Sorry. Let's gonna go back and let's gonna go. It's done to do that. Okay. And now we're gonna look for my speed. So ABS pump, battery speed. It's gonna be the speeds here somewhere, I guess. Come on. What? Ah, hold on. It's here. Okay, sorry. So we have, okay, let's gonna go back then. Okay, just hold a second. Okay, so here we are. The 4-wheel speed sensors. Left the top, left front and rear, and then right front and rear. Let's gonna start the engine and see if we get readings from all 4. However, we should get, because otherwise we would have a fault for my ABS, and the ABS is not giving any faults, at least on the dash. So no readings, really? Hold on a sec. Okay, I just want to show you that they all read okay. As you can see, there we go. Now we're gonna park back up again. Okay, so we have readings from everything, and as I said, as you can see, I do have ABS and VSA lights coming on and off. So if there was an issue with one of the sensors, most likely those lights would come on. I guess that fault for the logic is to do with the fact that the speed wheels might be reading, but the speed sensor is not. Is the only thing I can think of. So I'm not familiar with the system, so I'm going to try to figure out how this works, if there is a separate speed sensor, which most likely it will be. Actually, damn it, I could have checked, I could have confirmed that the speedometer is now working. Actually, let's gonna do that. Okay, I'm not gonna be able to take the screen of the speed on the tool and the speed of the speedometer, but I'm just gonna put here right front wheel speed. Okay, I'll select that one. Okay, 0 kilometers per hour. Let's gonna start to drive and see if we have any readings. Okay, it's showing 12 miles per hour, 20 miles per hour, and it doesn't move, as you can see in there. Okay, so as you have seen, the needle did not move at all. Okay, and when you actually come to BCM is how you actually I'm under actuations, and come back. Let me put that here. Okay, exit. It's gonna try to do, for example, let me see, ABS indicator, for example. It's gonna do it just to confirm this is how it's done. So if I press execute, my ABS light comes on, so it is working, as you can see now, testing. So let's try now the engine light. Where's the engine light? Oh, there it is. Mail status. Let me see if it allows me to activate. So executing, I'm gonna press the button. It's just me or nothing happened. I think nothing happens actually. Let me try again. Yep, nothing happened. As you've seen, when I'm executing, the light for the seat belt goes off, when it stops executing, that light comes back on. So I don't know if that's related at all. Let me see if it does the same with the ABS. So someone must have opened. Let me try. Oh no, it actually goes off at the same time. So that one goes off when you are actually activating those lights. So which means the engine light most likely has been disconnected inside the cluster. It's gonna come out. Okay, so the actuators, the actuation system for the cluster is actually done through the BCM. Let me see if there is any fault codes on the BCM. Most likely it will be, I guess. Ooh. Okay, relay controlled with the gauge, range sensing, relay control module, lost with the gauge. So everything with the gauges. I don't know if they are active or if they are old codes, but I think the first thing I'm going to do is try to find where the cluster takes the speed from, and we'll go from there, because we are wasting already too much time with this. So let's go to find out where the speed comes to the cluster. Okay guys, in a little bit of digging, and I found where the speed is taken from. Forget about the fact that the mill says it's off because I've deleted the codes, but that's where my vehicle speed sensor is, and this is taken from the engine ECU. So is the engine ECU, so this is the live data in the engine system, as you can see in there. So that's where my VSS vehicle speed sensor is. And as you're going to see, when I move back and forwards, let me just reverse a little bit out of the driveway, and then I'll drive back in. Make sure there's no one behind me. There's no one. Okay, so now I'm going to speed up to about, I don't know how much. I'll only have a few meters, but as you're going to see in there, so I'm going to go, and you're going to see that it doesn't move. Okay, so I think it was enough for you guys to see. There is no movement. Even when I come back, there is no movement from the sensor, as you have seen. Okay, so let's gonna find out where the sensor is, and well, see what's going on. Okay, and quite quickly, kind of, I found where the sensor is located, and the sensor is located right there. Let's see if I can show you. It's right here behind. You see where this plate here that holds the clutch hose? So right here is your sensor, and I decided to take the sensor and have a look at it. And do I need to say anything else? I don't think I do. Now, my only concern is what happened inside the gearbox to do this. So I think we either have a problem inside the gearbox, or I don't know, maybe the sensor was okay. And I don't know, 2 weeks later maybe, I got the second sensor. Now some of you might gonna wonder, why 2 sensors? Right, the first sensor, which is in the gearbox right now, right, let me take you through the story. I think we all learned I did a mistake, a big mistake, and I damaged the first sensor I got. So basically what I've done was, with the new sensor, with the sensor that is there now, this is the original that comes with the gearbox, as you can see. So what I've done on the new one was, I painted the top of the sensor with a black marker. The black marker actually still here. And then I put the sensor on the gearbox. No bolt, no retaining bolt, just push the sensor in, plug it in, and I rotated first the 2 shafts by hand. Gave it a couple turns and took the sensor off, and was indeed on the black marker, on the black paint was a mark that something was slightly touching the sensor. So what I've done, I grabbed a really thin washer, probably about 1/2 mil, and I put it here between the housing and the sensor, and I put the sensor back in again. No retaining bolt once again. This time I rotated again, took the sensor out, and it was no marks. So what I've done was push the sensor back in, put the retaining bolt, plug everything. With the car still in the air, I came here, started the car, engaged first gear, released the clutch, and voila, the speedometer started to measure. And I thought that's really good. Disengaged the car, took the jack off, went for a drive. As I was driving down this road, which I've shown you on some videos, it started to measure, and all of a sudden, bang, to 0 again. And I thought, that's really weird. I had the scanner at the time, scanned the car, code again for the same sensor. Brought the car in, raised the car, took the sensor out, and guess what? The sensor was not just scuffed at the front, it was completely smashed up. This metal tip nearly came off the sensor, was completely smashed. And I thought, straight, my first thought in there was there's something wrong inside the gearbox. It's the only explanation, which I'm not saying there isn't. But what I've done next was I decided to go and see what the issue would be inside the gearbox. So I did a quick Google search, tried to find out what the problem would be, and I came up across a picture from exploited view of this gearbox and all the parts that goes around the gearbox, so the sensors, brackets, etc. And what caught my attention was that between this sensor and the gearbox housing here, on the exploit view diagrams, whatever you want to call it, actually shows a washer. And I thought, oh dear, I missed something here then. So then I started to go, because on that website it didn't really show the thickness of the washer or anything like that. So I started to Google, and I actually found a quite good post on a website from a guy explaining exactly this issue, which I was not aware of. And apparently there is a washer that goes in there. Now, I could not find the real thickness of the washer anywhere. It might be somewhere, but I couldn't find it. So what I found was a picture of a gentleman holding the washer like this. And judging by the fingers, the nail, and the washer that I've seen on the picture, the washer should be about this thick. Actually, just looking at the camera now, it looks like the same picture as the guy had. So this is a quite thick washer that goes in there. It looks something like this, okay? To be safe, I'm gonna put this washer and another half of this to push the sensor really out. And fingers crossed, I'm not gonna smash the sensor again. Just before I do it, I'm gonna quick ring Honda, see if they have this washer. Just for the safe side, make sure I get the right thickness, but I'm pretty sure this is gonna be the thickness I need. And about 5 minutes later of talking, I think it would worth to mention this. I effed up, smashed the sensor, my mistake, my bad. Obviously I've lost 35 quid now, is how much this sensor cost me. It's about 35 pounds or something like that. So I'm not going to charge both sensors, obviously, but I just want to make sure I get this one right this time. So yeah, see if the rain stops a little bit and see if we can get this done. Okay, And I was not expecting this at all. So as I said, I couldn't find online any reference to the thickness of that washer. It might be that there is, and I haven't searched enough. But rang Honda asking for if they have the washer. The guy said straight away, I don't have that washer in stock from the... we don't have that washer in stock. But the guy at the parts was really kind, and he turned around and said, look, but you don't need to pay to get a washer from us. He said all you need is a 2mm thickness washer. So all you need is to bring that sensor out 2mm. And I couldn't believe the guy actually gave me that information. Really kind, and I really appreciate it. So now that I know the thickness of that washer, all I'm going to do is measure the one I have, which I think is about right. And yeah, that's going to finish this off. And there you go. 2.5 mil, half a mil more, but I think still it will do the trick just well. And the new sensor is now in place. Here is the one. So this is the one that came on the car. This was the new one I put in and I smashed. I ended up by cutting it and just use it as a plug sort of until I get this one now. And the new one is now in place with the 2.5mm washer that you guys have seen earlier. And now let's gonna go for a test drive and see what happens. Clear the codes first, because with some ABS lights as well. I think because the car was in the air and I had the gear engaged and stuff with the rear wheels stopped. So let's gonna clear the codes and go from there. Okay, and let's gonna quick check the engine. Read fault codes, read current codes. Oh, no trouble codes. Let me see if there's anything on the intermittent codes. Oh, that's strange. Well, it cleared everything itself. That's good. Okay, let's gonna go back. Let me go to my ABS system. Yeah, that's fine. Read fault codes. There we go. So rear, so left, rear, sensor logic, because okay, that's it. That was all because I was as I said, I've engaged gear and the front wheels were spinning because the car was jacked up, but the rear wheels were on the floor and the car thinks there is a problem with the rear sensors. So let's clear this out. Turn ignition off. Turn ignition on. Clear fault memory completed. Okay, let's gonna go back. Okay, we'll stay there. And let's start the engine again. There we go. Lights are off. And now, the most important thing, let's gonna go for a road test. Okay. Moment of the truth. Let's see what happens. Oh, he's measuring again. He only measured to about 20 miles per hour last time and then was gone. Oh, he's measuring okay. Good. Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Okay, and I already managed to push the car up to about 60 miles per hour. Working absolutely perfect. No drops, no nothing. It's working fine. So I think I'm going to give this as completed. Now, yes, I've learned the hard way. I don't know everything. And I definitely didn't know that you needed a washer between the sensor and the gearbox housing. So lesson learned. But I think that's going to be it for this video, guys. And the one thing that I think it might worth to mention, even though I think I have already mentioned that back on the video, was that was no washer when I initially got the car. So It looks like it's a common mistake. I definitely learned it, so hope you did as well, guys. So that's gonna wrap this up. In the end, it was just a faulty sensor and a missing washer. So that's it. I hope there's some information here on this video that you're gonna find it useful. If you do have any questions, any comments, please put them below. And like always, thank you for watching.